Hello, everyone, and inside today's Locked On Canadiens, it's the Habs Mock Draft 2.0.
You're Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1092 of Locked On Canadiens. We are your daily Montreal Canadiens podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you get your team every single day of the week on Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your daily podcast, or here on YouTube.com. If you are watching, thank you so much for subscribing. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And remember to make every moment more, because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I am, of course, your host for today's festivities. Once again, I am, of course, Scott Matla. And you may be wondering, hey, I heard mock draft. What are we doing? I started doing this, I think it was a year or 2 years ago, that I run a couple of mock drafts throughout the end of the year segment of, the Habs off season. The draft is now 11 days away at the day I'm recording this, 10 days away when you are hearing this. We are so close to the big day where we can stop doing the speculation thing and do the we're getting mad at whoever the Canadiens picked thing. And I like to run a mock draft using FC Hockey's mock draft simulator. I try to use their consensus rankings for everything. And I, once again, ran 3 mock drafts again for this episode, picking what I think were the best fits based off of what I've heard from other scouts and prospect experts at events and off just talking to them on Twitter, DMs, etc. What if the Canadiens go defense first and go heavily on defense in a draft to kind of restore some of that pipeline with all the players coming in now? And then one draft, and this is the favorite one I think I've ever done, is I picked the guy rated at the top of every round, regardless of what position they were playing. Just picked whoever the top rated player was. Even if the Habs, if it could have been all centers, and guess what? Oops, all centers on the team here. That was a very fun one. These are all 4-round mock drafts. I didn't go much deeper than that because as much as I like to pretend that I know stuff about things, my knowledge is limited to what was in the Hockey Prospect Black Book, what was in the Elite Prospects Guide, what was in the McKean's Guide, etc., to be able to build and provide you with all the definitions that I do have. And we're going to start right with my first draft. Sometimes mock draft simulators get weird, like in this one, where Constantinius went second overall, which if that happens, I'm not going to make a bet because I've eaten enough disgusting things on this podcast, but horrifying enough that I did not understand any of it, because also Michael Brandt said Nygaard went third overall. And at that point, I'm like, I should throw this out and start over, but I'm going to press on because I need to bring the people content. First round, 5th overall, Ivan Demidov from SK St. Petersburg in the KHL. I think we've talked so much about him. We've talked about it with Hedy Kalakash a couple of weeks ago here. Arguably the best skilled prospect that could fall to the Canadiens at the spot. It seems unlikely, but we keep hearing, hey, is Demidov going to fall down? Is this going to happen? Are the Canadiens going to learn from their Michkov mistakes? And for me, I look at this and I go, I couldn't not pick this player. There's too much talent there for me to ignore 5th overall. And also in this draft, because for whatever reason, the simulator lost his mind. Lindstrom was there. Iginla was there. Catton was there. A lot of these defensemen were there. Artem Levshinov went 4th overall to Columbus. But I'm like, this is a perfect fit for what the Canadiens need. They are crying out for that next level skill. And you know what? We're going to give it to them. And we gave it to him with Ivan Demidov. 26th pick, Michael Hage. Someone that I really like all across the board right now in so many facets. A player I really, really enjoy. And that if he's available at 26th, I am asking Kent Hughes, in reality, in this upcoming draft, make this pick. There's so much about this player to like, someone that I really enjoy. Teddy Stiga was also available here. Andrew Basho went 1 pick before this, which in this mock, which is the player I kind of actually had my eye on at this point here. But I look at what Hages did after he recovered from his shoulder injury that he said he was playing through at the start of the season. Just an incredibly talented player. At 57th overall, the Canadiens' other pick here is defenseman, and I'm going to try and get his name right here. Leo Wallenius Salin. It's probably Salin Pat. I am so sorry, Patrick Maxwell. If you're listening to this, you can yell at me in private. I promise. He was right. It's Salin Wallenius. I am sorry. I've screwed up his name across the board here. Prospect experts are currently screaming at me. I'm yelling at me. Nobody wants to be here. Just a guy who is a really good baseline to build off of. I'm looking at his stats in the under 20 league this year in Sweden, 42 points in 43 games. Another 3 in the under 18 tournament, 23 and 28 in all international games, 3 points in 5 playoff games. Did not get a crack with the senior team this year. Is slated to start with the junior team next year as well, but it seems like this is a guy who could rise very quickly. 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. Description from Elite Prospect Guide: sound puck distributor and in-zone defender. Defensive skating allows him to match speed with ease and contain opponents. Sometimes picking the guy who just has the really safe baseline to build off of is never a bad thing. And honestly, I'm kind of here for it as a defenseman. Ironically, the only defenseman in this 4-round mock draft that I picked. At 70th overall, Luke Misa, somebody that taking Lauren Kelly from Elite Prospects advice, watching some of this, fast. Dude plays fast, plays hard. He is everywhere, playing for Mississauga, soon to be Brampton, I believe. And just somebody that I've kind of had my eye on this year in a lot of different levels. He's so fast. The Elite Prospects Guide uses the term breakneck speed. And if he can continue to improve, he's a smaller frame right now. He's 5'10", 165 pounds. He is not a large player. But he went from 26 points in 62 games in his first season, 43 and 64 to 81 and 66 this year. That's a player who is showing year over year improvement. And that's exactly what you want in a player like this. And in that point in the draft, you're looking for who can give me the most bang for my buck. And a guy like Luke Misa at 70 overall with speed, playmaking ability, and to continue improving and building on that seems like a really good fit for what the Canadiens might take a swing on in there. And now we're getting into the area that I'm like, there are less names that I know, less names that I know, less names that I know. One that I recognized from Hattie Kalakash is Tarek Paraskak. Again, if I am mispronouncing these, it is not intentional. I'm just very stupid sometimes. All of his rankings are in the upper 30s. So again, this whole draft simulation, something got wonky in there very, very quickly. High-end, quick possession player, good at setting up and finishing plays off. Doesn't just get open, but adjust positioning to find the perfect opening there. 105 points in 68 WHL games this year with Prince George, another 14 in the playoffs. He only played 4 WHL games last year, was playing in an under 18 league, a prep school where he put up 66 and 30. Honestly, that's a really impressive number. And yes, this is a team that had Riley Heidt and Zach Funk on it, 2 very good older players on it, guiding them forward. But if he were to be that far down for absolute whatever, and we're talking 78th overall, I would be stunned if he were still there when the Canadiens pick. But you want to talk value, you can't beat that kind of value at 78th overall. And then the last pick is coming out of London is Sam O'Reilly. Someone that maybe not as flashy or as offensively inclined as the other players. He put up 56 points in 68 games with a powerhouse London Knights team, 12 points in 16 playoff games. I'm going to read just the first little blurb from this that is on their website. O'Reilly is a relentless shutdown defensive center with physicality, details, and a clever quick touch passing game. Say less. This is 120th overall, mind you, and there's almost zero chance he falls this far in reality. 6'1", 176 pounds, and that he is working so hard on the defensive side of the puck to do all the little things right. Zero chance that this is a kid who is available there for the Canadiens, but how could you ignore that? Canadiens are looking for someone else. There's now, if you like Owen Beck, why not get another Owen Beck and have another one in there that you can solidify your bottom six going forward, or even your middle six going forward with guys who just know how to shut opposition down. However, we're not done today, folks. We have many more mock drafts to get to. Well, 2 more that I have done. I'm going to dig into my reasoning for those and more coming up next. But first, as I said off the top of the show, today's episode is brought to you by the folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. And summertime means baseball. Of course, I'm rocking my Red Sox jersey today after beating the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball with 9 stolen bases. The NBA Finals might end tonight, but they are still going. The NHL Finals are going on, and you can bet it all on FanDuel right now, because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP, the Conn Smythe, to are the Yankees going to collapse into a fit of sadness after losing to the Red Sox, to who's going to hit the next dinger out of the park. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We are back here at Locked On Canadiens, and we are continuing to move through our mock drafts here. And by we, I mean I am continuing to move through my mock drafts here because I did a couple of different ones because I love you and I care about you and I want you to, and I want all of you to see, hey, the draft could go a lot of different ways. Who knows? In the second mock draft I did is I went with, if there is a defender available, I'm going to try and pick them and make the most out of this. So my first pick for the Canadiens in this draft was a defenseman that was available. Again, hockey mock draft simulators can get weird. In the last 2 that I ran, Berkeley Catton went second and Zane Parayka went third each time. Could not explain why. Don't understand why, because it allowed me in my second mock draft here to at 5th overall to pick Artem Levshinov, defenseman from Michigan State. Arguably the top defenseman in this draft class. Rangy, physical, a lot of room to grow, some raw spots, but I don't even think it's really up for debate that many consider him the best defender in this draft. But also at this time, in this drafting, there's Anton Tsalaev, there was Zeev Buium, there was Sam Dickinson also available, Carter Yakimchuk further on. But I'm like, if Levshinov is there, I have to go that route. And I sincerely doubt that he would be there in reality. And maybe this is Zane Parayka. Maybe this is Buium. Maybe this is Dickinson in this spot. But I picked the top overall D here. And then scrolling down as things kind of leveled out a little bit in terms of where players were going in their consensus ranking. 26th overall, I picked Emil Hemming out of TPS under 20 team in Finland there. If you like Emil Heineman, you're going to like Emil Hemming as well. Probably the best pure shooter, second best pure shooter in the draft. Cole Yzerman is in this draft, of course. He is he's a shooter. He will take the puck to the net. He will get it into areas, and he has a variety of shots that he can utilize. I believe Scott Wheeler ranked him as one of the best shots in the draft. 6'1", 205 pounds, a modern power forward. Played for a lot of different teams this year, put up 18 points in 13 games with the under 20 team at TPS, put up 11 points in 40 games in Liga, had a couple of under 18 and a couple of World Juniors games mixed in there. Definitely so, and then put up another 10 points in 11 games in the playoffs for the under 20 side. Someone that I'd be interested in, a lot of work to be done on the other parts of their game, but someone that I could definitely get behind. Switching back to defense now, Harrison Brunnicke out of Kamloops. This is someone that I heard talked a lot about at the draft, someone that I didn't really pay much attention to because I haven't, quite frankly, been focusing on the defenseman in this draft because I'm thinking forward here. A playmaking two-way defenseman. There's not much that he can't do. Goes from locking down in the net front, stick checks, communicates, and follows pokes with hits. off the rush, matches fast-moving attack to push them wide and gets the stop on opposing forwards. If all else fails, he has the speed to recover. That comes from elite prospects. Put up 21 points in 49 games for Kamloops this year, and then put up 4 points in 7 games in the under-18 tournament for them. This is someone who's 6'3", 187 pounds, is again a lot like the Swedish defenseman in the last round, someone to build a base off of. Necessarily the most flashy? No. But is this somebody that you have a lot of ground to work with and mold them into what you are looking for? Absolutely the case. And I don't think Canadiens fans with someone like this who can be, I don't want to say a shutdown defender, but can be a really good, reliable defender in his own zone, is someone that I would absolutely take that chance on going into the later rounds here, which brings us to our next draft pick. We're on to pick number 70 at this point, and I picked Christian Humphreys with a consensus ranking of 63. FC Hockey hasn't fully updated their stats yet, and there it says he's 5'10", 150. Elite Prospects has him at 5'11", 170 pounds. And this is just the first sentence from his draft guide. Always positioned in the right spot. Again, exactly what you're looking for in a player. Put up 58 points in 52 games with the NTDP, under 18 team in that league, and then put up another 24 in 23 games in the USHL with the US NTDP juniors team. At the under 18 tournament, put up 4 goals and 1 assist in 7 games. Committed to the University of Michigan in 2 years. So he's got 1 more year to go through the junior program before he heads off to one of the, I don't want to say fastest rising because Michigan has always been very good, but one of the more prestigious NCAA hockey programs in the NHL that has been churning out players over and over and over again. Ironically, played for Bishop Kearney, where I am from originally, in Rochester, New York. He's from Pittsburgh, PA. Seems like a really good bat, right-wing center. Even if he isn't making the team as a centerman, still going to be there. Then I went for at 78 overall, someone that kept falling down the list here is Brody Zeimer. And maybe it's Zimmer. I'm going with Zeimer for right here. Out of Minnesota, going to Minnesota, but he just put up points last year. 70 and 61 games with the national team, or under 18 national team with the US NTDP juniors, 24 and 27. Put up 12 points in 7 games at the under 18s with the Team USA there. Off to the University of Minnesota next year, where he will play with Luke Middlestat and potentially Rhett Pitlick from the Montreal Canadiens already. This is a name that kept falling down the board, and I didn't realize much about them. Looked it up. 5'11", just shy of 200 pounds. Seems like a kid who might really do some damage here. And then with the last pick in the defenseman heavy draft, and I know that's crazy because there's 3 defensemen and 3 forwards in this, Gabriel Eliasson from HV71. Scott Wheeler called them potentially the most undisciplined player they've ever seen, that they are ferocious, that they go out of their way to really, truly make things somebody's problem. He's a big dude. He's 6'7", 205 pounds at 17 years old right now. The quote from the draft guide here is, a towering defenseman with decent skating ability and an endless lust for violence. Boy, howdy, they were not kidding. I can't think of the last time I saw penalty minutes this high in a European league. In the under 20 league this year, 6 points in 36 games, 103 penalty minutes. In 7 games at the under 18s, put up 20 penalty minutes. Overall for his entire under 18 in 22 games, put up 77 penalty minutes. Also committed to the University of Michigan in 2 years, where you can't be getting thrown out of games. This is a dude who, if you get to the net front area, you're going to hate every second of it. And I know Habs fans have learned to love Arbor Jack Guy's little, what if I just give you a little cross check? What if I just make this your problem now? Imagine that, but taller, potentially heavier, with maybe more upside. I don't know overall how he would compare But the phrase endless lust for violence gives me both pause and fills me with like amusement. Because I'm just imagining you have Jack Guy on one side and you have Eliason on the other, and they are just cross-checking a dude back and forth between them like he's a ping pong ball. Guys that get you into the playoffs, guys that get you through the playoffs. Discipline is a concern. Got to take less penalties. If you're gonna rough a dude up, rough him up subtly. There's ways to do that, as we have learned. We are not done with mock drafts, though. We have one more left where I made it easy. I picked the top-rated player at the beginning of each of the Canadiens' picks. We're getting into that coming up next. But first, shopping for life insurance is not easy. It's stressful. You don't want to think about it. You got to navigate everything, find the policy that's right for you and one that isn't going to cost you too much money. And life is unpredictable. You always want to be prepared if that moment ever comes. And with Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Sitting down, going through, trying to find life insurance, I hated it. I didn't like any of it. I didn't know what half of this meant. With Policygenius, they are convenient and time-saving because they help you compare all of your options from America's top insurers in just a few easy clicks, and their award-winning agents will walk you through the process step by step to help you find the coverage that you need. So get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. We are back for one final segment here. And we've done a couple of rounds of the mock draft here, which I want to see your mock drafts. Drop your mock drafts, 4-round mock drafts in the comments. Tweet us at LO_Canadiens, LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com, at Scott Matla on Twitter. If I don't respond or I don't respond to your DM, it's because they're so full of spam that thanks to Elmo's site, I have just stopped paying attention to most of that. It is nothing personal, I promise you in that regard. 4-round mock draft, top-rated player at the beginning of each round, starting with pick number 5, falling to 5th overall, again, Ivan Demidov. I don't know what else I can say. That if he falls to 5th overall and Lindstrom and Ginla are gone, or that's not the choice, this is the guy. This is your guy. This is your man. Draft him. Do the thing Kent and Jeff and technically Jeff and Marty and Martin and, Bob Ruff. All of you folks. I don't know if any of you are actually listening to this. If you are, I'm sorry. If you are, also take my advice. Take this and run. It's a huge win for the Canadiens. And then going to 26th overall, once again, Michael Hage was right there. A guy that, again, I really, really like this player. Someone that I think could absolutely be an interesting piece to add to the team here. I think there's a lot of talent and skill that I would absolutely go for. Excuse me. Heading down to 57th overall here. Now we're kind of getting into the who is sliding a little bit. Jesse Pulkkinen was ranked 47th in FC Hockey's consensus rankings. At 57th overall, I was able to grab him in this draft. 6'6", 220 pounds. He is 19 years old. He is an older player in this draft. He is a re-entry, I believe. Will be 20 at the end of December there. So he's a little bit older. Boundless creativity and confidence with the puck. You can see it in the way he invites forechecking pressure, only to dangle past them and lead the rush. That comes from Elite Prospects Guides here. Put up 28 points in 18 games with the under-20 team this year in Finland. Went up to Liga. Put up 8 points in 29 games. Was loaned to a team in the Mestis, the second league. 4 points in 6 games. Put up 3 points in 7 games at World Juniors. And has 8 total for under 20 leagues. Somebody that I think a lot of draft experts thought, hey, they might take a risk on this kid last year, and he's taken that next step forward. An offensive defenseman that size that can move the puck and skate that well is a huge boon for any team. And for the Montreal Canadiens, come on. How do you not take a look at that and go, it's tantalizing? You can't just ignore it overall. The next pick heading into the third round here, 70th overall, ranked 61st in the consensus rankings in FC Hockey, is Ben Danford, playing for the Oshawa Generals. Again, not a guy that has a ton of flash and sizzle to his game as a defenseman. 33 points in 64 games, just 1 goal, but thinks the game in a advanced way more than most. He knows how to defend in zone and move the puck up ice, always plays the opposition physically, close the gap at the blue line, pressures the opposition. We talk about building block players, guys that you can do a lot with because they are moldable and you can turn them into something. That's what Ben Danford reads like here. And again, I picked the top player available. This was not there's another guy there kind of thing. I picked the top available player there. And Ben Danford was that. We are now back at 78th overall, and we're heading to Sweden for this. And I'm going to botch their name again because, of course, I am. Simon Zether, playing in Sweden right now, playing for Rögle. Someone that the Canadiens probably would have actually gotten a good look at this year if they were going to watch Adam Engstrom in Europe or in the SHL playing for this team, of course. Put up just 4 points in 42 SHL games, but 27 and 18 with their under-20 team where he was the captain of their team here. Again, someone that it seems like they can build with. Zether excels in small areas with his imposing stature. He can knock opponents away, shield the puck, and control it on the wall. In the defensive zone, he rotates well, follows a check, puts his stick in the right lane, denying space, and plays from the opposition. 6'3", 187 pounds. This reads to me like a really strong defensive, hard checking, defensive zone center. And at that size, boy, do you want to try and defend against a guy like that? I really, really don't think so. Someone that I know the Canadiens have definitely gotten a look at because he played for the team of one of their top prospects, whom they watched a whole bunch. And now we're heading back into defense for one last time. The last pick of just pick the best guy available draft, Anthony Cristoforo, playing for the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL. Another defenseman. I know you're probably losing your mind. That's a lot of defensemen. Again, just picked the top player. There's nothing I could do in this draft here. Cristoforo activates in every play, showing both potent shot and vision to find teammates through the defense, manipulates opponents with fakes and handling skills, again, from the Elite Prospects guides here. Put up 38 points in 67 games as a defenseman, 7 goals, 31 assists, put up 41 and 63 last year. But Windsor was also a tale of two teams, one that was loaded and had a lot of talent and one that lost it this year. Went from plus 10 last year to minus 43 this year, which is a lot. That is a rapid change for a lot of things here. But someone, if you're picking late in the 4th round, again, it's a why not kind of thing here. I have a lot of fun doing these because I learn a lot about some of these players. They go, maybe the Canadiens would actually be interested in that kind of player there. Like I look at Simon Zether, and I think that's exactly the kind of player the Canadiens might be interested in. Michael Hage is someone I think the Canadiens might be interested in. Going into some of these other drafts, there are players I think the Canadiens would be very interested in based on their drafting habits. I want to see your 4-round mock drafts. Follow the same thing I did. Do what you think is best for the Canadiens. Pick defense. Just pick the best guy available, depending on whichever simulator you use, because I want to see what sort of things you can come up with. There are so many different permutations, I think is the right word to use for this, for mock drafts. Remember to tweet us at LO_Canadiens. Because I am hosting the show. You can follow me on Twitter at Scott Mello. You can follow this podcast wherever you get your daily podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to keep cranking out the draft content. We are 11 days away at the time of this recording, 10 days from the time that you hear it. I cannot wait to be a part of the draft and everything with you all again. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.